Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Tim Larson. We hope you enjoy today's movie discussion. Thanks for listening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the BTB Movie Club. My name is Tim Larson. We're here with almost a full stack deck here. We got Ryan Malo, Sneaky Dan Sears, Michael Wilden, Aaron Lashbrook, Brian Larson, and Matt Smith. We are here to discuss movie number 252. This is The Life of Chuck. Says that it's 2024, but it first hit the theaters in 2025. So 2024 was a movie festival, Toronto Movie Festival year. Taken from a Stephen King novella that came out in 2020 and directed by, is it Mike Flanagan? I know it's Flanagan. I think it's Mike Flanagan,
Yes,
who
Mike.
has done a lot of horror stuff, some series, and he's done 2 Stephen King stories before. They are Dr. Sleep and Gerald's Game, and he's back with Stephen King. So, well, let's just roll right into it, and let's pick somebody to go first, who looks like they're just dying to go. Ryan Malo, let's have your thoughts on The Life of Chuck.
All right. I got some neighbors walking by, and what's hilarious, we've been I guess I missed last week, but we have been doing the random stuff, and somebody else hosts and all that. I'm like, oh, who's gonna host tonight? I didn't even.
We're back online.
It's
We're
gonna
back
go.
online,
Yeah,
Malo.
which was also an immediate wake up call to me that, oh shit, I am hosting next week.
Yes.
So
Yes, you are.
yeah. Okay, so Life of Chuck. Never heard of it at all. And followed your recommendation to go in as blind as possible. So I did that. What was funny about that is Jane always, I always ask if she wants to watch the movie or whatever. And so I told her to watch the trailer. Like she literally went in the other room and watched the trailer to see if she wanted to watch it.
All right.
Which she did. And then was upset because she felt that the trailer didn't really, it painted it more like a feel-good kind of deal, and there's elements of that for sure, and maybe that's where you land with it, but it definitely didn't get there in a traditional way. So yeah, I was really into it early on, and just trying to figure it out. It was quirky right from the get-go, right, without they're losing the internet, but not right away. It was spotty. So that was interesting. Offerman starts narrating once you're into a little bit. I thought it was pretty funny because they were back to cordless phones, although he still had a cell phone up to a point. I guess that was, again, just trying to understand the world that they're creating, and there were it wasn't as clear early on, which was fine. I didn't think that she was that strong of an actor. I wrote that note. I put the Sagan calendar. It's pretty cool. I've heard that. I remember hearing that before. I think actually when they did the remake for what that series was, which is, I'm an idiot. Somebody help me out. Cosmos.
I do not.
It was not called I'm an Idiot.
I had that part. Cosmos. Let me see. With all the the stuff with Hiddleston, where you're trying to figure out who this guy is, and the TV going out a lot. It had very Loki vibes, reminded me of that a lot. Holy shit, Matt Lillard, LOL. That was out of nowhere. I don't know what he's been doing. And I just kept writing so much exposition. Sorry, that's bad for recording. There were a lot of odd little monologues, right? It was a series of, and I wrote this down phonetically so I could, Chevitel Ejiofor. I think that's pretty close.
Good enough. His name's tough.
Yeah. But the whole Act 3 was a series, the ex-wife, Lillard, the older gentleman with the pipe, and then the little girl on the street. And so at that point I wrote promising start but losing momentum. I wasn't as engrossed as I wanted to be early on. The windows, that was kind of strange
Yep.
toward the end of Act Three. I said it reminded me of the Harry Potter newspapers. But it's all his subconscious. And then I wrote, I mean, I guess it is called Life of Chuck. So uh, I got real nerdy with the stars disappearing. So that wouldn't make sense. It looks like it's all happening at the same time, but the way different distances. And anyway, and then I put Act Two. Brian has to be pissed because it was immediate. Obviously not chronological in order, which could have guessed from Act Three going first. But just having fun with it. The narration, the weather is fucking gorgeous. Offerman's hilarious. It just, I had a bunch of other little notes. Hiddleston, I made myself laugh. I said he's like a straight Hugh Jackman with the dance scene. Mia Sarah, I am not okay with Grandma Mia Sarah. That hit a little hard.
She's young for the role. She's young for the role, I think.
She had makeup on. I mean, they made her look old.
Still, it definitely bothered me. Hamill, I'm more okay with because he's been that guy for quite a while, especially with voice acting. But let me see. Basically, I want to watch it again. I kind of wish there was a sequential version like Memento when they did that. I felt like Act One is so long. Not that it felt long, but comparatively to the rest of the movie, and you care about all these characters, or you start buying in, and I didn't feel like they mattered that much because it was, it was still his story. Like the main guy, Chiwetel
Marty.
Yes, he's a teacher that he passes by his classroom. Like he wasn't even his teacher. So I don't know, like that just kind of bugged me a little bit. Also, who teaches Whitman
From after the dance?
They saw him briefly.
Yeah, I did talk to him after the dance. Yeah.
Okay, but again, I don't know, for him to be the main character of his subconscious as he's at the end just seemed kind of strange. And maybe that's why they did it because it really would have been weird if they did it in sequential order, and now all of a sudden the movie is about this guy. What's going on? But yeah, were I right? Oh yeah, that was the other. Who teaches Whitman and Sagan? I don't know what class that is. But yeah, I don't know. Like I wanted to like it more. I didn't not. I think it kind of made me feel like I missed something. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see what everybody else has to say to see if I'm more of an outlier or if everybody kind of got that vibe. But that's where I ended up.
Okay, so I just checked. Just for your own comfort, Mia Sarah is presently 58 years old.
Okay.
So there's no way that
Okay.
she's typecast into this role. All right, so let's see. Some things that I think we need to talk about in this movie are some of the themes that we end up landing on at the end of it, and a bunch of callbacks. Like you talk about the third act, which is the first one we see. There are tons of little hints that you get of things that are going to show up later. And I think he sneaks a lot of those into that third act so that you see them and you're left confused, and it kind of shows up in the end. And there's a couple of scenes here.
Can I just one comment? I feel like the entire third act is like all the Easter, like that entire act is Easter, or hints and Easter eggs and whatever you want to call it. Like
a lot of it.
That's
An
what that
awful
whole
lot of
act
it.
is.
Yeah. But it's getting to, the I don't want to get it too much. I mean, other people have stuff to say, so I don't want to get too much away here. But it's the I contain multitudes stuff actually playing out at the end of his life, right? Like that's what it is. And so it's less about those characters and it's more about that. But as you're watching it, you don't know that, and that's I think what can get some people off the rails on this one. Okay, so Mike does bring up Easter eggs, so I'm going to go to our Easter egg specialist Brian here and say that I think there are a couple of things that Brian would agree are Easter eggs in here, not the callbacks, But little things like when Marty is in his car in the traffic backup trying to get home, there is a car that's a replica of the Christine vehicle that's on the road there. And in a couple of the bookstores, there's a couple of Stephen King's favorite books that are, just kind of put to the side prominently that you wouldn't know if you didn't know the background story. So there's a couple things hidden in those scenes that, have some extra flavor that aren't part of the plot or the dialogue. So anyway, knowing there's some Easter egg things in there visually, Brian, take it away. Your thoughts on The Life of Chuck?
First, I'm going to say I believe that Tim picked this movie. So,
Okay.
um,
Having a hard time
Yes.
transitioning out of that, apparently.
yeah. So the third act, and Melo, surprisingly, it did not bother me, the jumping around. But I picked up rather quickly that I thought this was somebody's mental state. And they let us know eventually he's got brain cancer. So I think it's just because I was thinking dementia for obvious reasons for me, but it was just the ending of his death coming, and in his mind just not being able to comprehend things, and he mishmashed stuff. The Walt Whitman poem is the poem that he goes and talks to his female teacher about. And I think the other teacher, as he walks by the room, that was probably the math teacher who knew, but I don't know what he taught. He got the Carl Sagan stuff from his grandpa and watching the video when he was a kid. So like I said, I think it just, and they kind of, when he was saying like his brain was riddled and becoming mush, basically, I think it just was, different people fit into different places in his psyche at the end. The fact that he was upset about Pornhub being gone, clearly that weighed on him a lot. Those parent teacher conferences, that was great. I do think, and Tim, I think you picked this movie all about the dancing, teaching them how to do the moonwalk.
I swear to God, I didn't. I knew you were going to bring that up, but we have history with this. One of my notes is that's a terrible fucking moonwalk.
A movie with a moonwalk, and math is the most important thing in the universe. So I think Mark Hamill, that the idea that he was trying to teach his kid the beauty of math and beauty of numbers, and I've heard that in other movies and such, and it's always something that's intrigued me. I haven't been as supportive of that idea. I don't like factual things. It takes away from my arguments usually. Mm-hmm. But it was overall, I mean, I thought it was a really good movie. Tim, you don't owe me a penny after our conversation through text. This was one of those, again, renting was $6 or buying it was 10. And I was like, I know you watched it. I'm leaning towards buying it. And he was like, if you don't like it, I'll pay you the $10. So, no, it was well worth the money. I watched it again today. The dancing, I started to overanalyze stuff, and kind of thought maybe that never happened. It was the dancing part of it, because he walked by the area again and it's empty, and then he sees some of the people that end up in the fantasy in the act 3. But I was like, no, that's just too much overthinking. There were, the doctor who ends up in the fantasy at the end, the Indian, he's just sitting there drinking coffee that day.
Right.
So I think it was just such a strong core memory that anything he saw that day got put into his subconscious act 3.
Yeah, I could see anybody thinking that during Act Two that the dancing thing was like it's so weird. That can't be something that's real. That's got to be made up. But then you get to the first act, which is the third one you watch, and you realize, oh no, that happened. But I don't blame anybody for watching it going, what the fuck's going on here? And no, he imagined this, that kind of thing. So I get that. Carry on. Sorry.
The and hopefully one of you guys picked up on this because I didn't. He's talking about the scar on his hand.
Yeah.
And how he lied and he actually just cut it. And she's like, well, that's something silly to lie about. You're a strange, wonderful man. And he said, he couldn't tell her the rest of it about the scar. And then they just moved on.
Mm-hmm.
What was the rest of it about the scar?
Or does anybody else have it? I wondered about that the first time I saw it too. I've seen it a couple times now. Okay, so after his grandfather dies and he decides when he's like 17 or whatever to go in the room and he sees himself, he recognizes that it's him because of the scar. And so he can't tell her because he knows where his future is going.
Got it. Okay.
And I think that scene would go better. I wrote this down. If I think if they did things in a different order, where if he saw himself with the scar before and then we watched him get the scar after, I think it would have a better impact. But that's not how that plays out. And so I was kind of left with that same thought first time I saw it, Brian.
Well, we need to know that he has the scar so that we know it's him in the bed, I think.
True.
So
yeah. That helps visually. Yep.
I did not know what a cupola was either. That was a very
Widow's Peak.
Good trivia question.
Yeah.
Next time I do trivia.
So I
really enjoyed the movie. Good pick. And I think Tom Hiddleston was great in it. Didn't really have it. Oh, I was actually surprised that was Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool too. But yep, good pick, Tim.
Thanks. So I've got a couple of themes for this movie that I really like. One of them is the multitudes in your head thing. Stephen King clearly got that out of Song of Myself from Walt Whitman. I have a copy of it here, and I tried to read it before we started. I ran out of time. But it's interestingly, Song of Myself in the book Leaves of Grass here, it's about 55 pages long. And I was like, no, that's too much for today. I'm not going to be able to get through that. The story itself, Life of Chuck, that Stephen King wrote in the novella, is 60 pages long. That's all it is. And for Flanagan to get this movie out of it, it pretty much goes right along with the story. So I'm really impressed how he took 60 pages and turned it into a full-length movie. But the multitudes in your head thing we'll talk about. One of the other ones, Brian, you're kind of touching on, is I feel is that influences last with you. Little influence things last with you. So as you're building this universe in your head, as you get older, you remember things. Some of them might be spot on, and some of them might be a little wonky as you get older. So Nikki watched this with me, and she was bothered by the fact that in the very last couple of scenes, the guy who plays Marty, who looks like is going to be the main character, ends up being a teacher in the next room, and then he's at the dance, and then he looks like he's a guitar player in the band. And Nikki's like, and what the hell is that? And also, why is Karen Gillan, is that how you say her name, Felicia Gordon, why is she at the dance if she's his wife? Like, what's going on here? And my thought on that is sometimes side characters that you met earlier in your life, you don't have them in the right place in your head. Like there was neighbors across the street, and I remember the daughter and the mother very well, but maybe the next house down, I could easily confuse that with the mailman or, somebody who lived down the street. And I think that's what's going on there is some of that misplacement of character at the end has to do with how you remember things in your head when you're later. So, anyway,
So are you saying though, if the Canelan School District came to the Bear Hambones and asked them to play a high school prom, you would turn them down?
absolutely would turn that down. Yes, 100%. Yeah. Okay. So, the other theme, of course, is never forget to stop what you're doing and dance. Speaking of dancing, if anybody in here is likely to stop as a drummer is on the sidewalk and drumming and just burst into dance, it's got to be Dan Sears. So, Dan, let's go to you next. And why don't tap us through your thoughts on the life of Chuck?
All right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I would just throw down and start dancing. Yeah. Um, so a few days ago, I asked my sister's a big horror movie fan, and I asked her if she's seen this, because I saw it with Stephen King, and she said she did, and she hated it, and that was a good cue for me that I'm probably gonna like this movie, and I did.
That's great. That's great.
Um, yeah, I mean those people expecting like a ghost story, type movie or something, no, that's not this.
Yeah, I
But
agree, Dan. The supernatural part of this is that cupola, and it's like the almost the weakest part of the story, really. Like it doesn't really have a major effect like a lot of them do.
right, yep. Um, yeah, I mean, and the first, the first one's the third one, scene. We you think you're getting like an apocalyptic type end of the world universe type movie, and it turns out, it's all in his head, so you really don't get that either. And I like that about the movie. I like that you don't know exactly what's going on at first through the first couple, of scenes there. You don't really know, but then they tie it all together, in the last one. And so I thought that was really cool, the way that Mr. Flanagan did that. Um, One thing I noticed in Flanagan's movies, I've seen Doctor Sleep and I think just most of the movies that he's done. Um, he likes the monologue. He's got a lot of monologues in his movie. He's got uh, Mark Hamill giving the monologue about the accountant, which was some really bad advice. I think Mark Hamill gave some really bad advice to his grandson. It's like, let the kid do what he wants to do. Don't try
Yeah.
and get him to do something that you like. The English teacher goes on monologue about the poem and yeah, Malo said Lillard he goes and talks to him while I was sitting on the car. So I think he really likes those in his movies. Um, oh, I did read that Flanagan's right now doing like a mini series, a Carrie mini series.
Oh, that's right.
So that could be interesting. Um, he didn't do the other Carrie movie, did he? They did the Carrie movie like back in the 70s and
I
they
don't
did
think so.
another one, yeah, like I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
I don't think
Um,
that was him.
okay. Um, but one thing that caught me is the dance scene. He said to them after it, he said, "I don't know why I stopped to dance," but I think he kind of does because that was his a huge part of his life growing up. So I think as soon as he started hearing the beat of that woman drumming, he's like, "Hey, time for me to dance," just like I would if I was walking by.
How great is she, by the way? The girl drumming?
Yeah.
Like, wow. I looked her up and she's known as the Pocket Queen. She's not an actress, she's a drummer. And so she drums with Willow Smith, and then she has been backing up Coldplay while they're on tour. So she's not an actress. They just pulled a legit drummer to come and pull that off. And man, that's good. In the story, it's a white dude.
Oh,
So
was it? Okay.
Flanagan made a choice to change the character a bit, and I think he nailed it. I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd they find her? He just saw her drumming somewhere and
Uh, Well,
decided.
I mean, if she's backing up Coldplay, she wasn't just drumming
Well,
somewhere, right? So
right, right. She's pretty big.
yeah.
Real quick about the drummer. Did anybody, the roadie or the other guy, like he's only ever shown like in full body, like from far away. I kept wondering if that was like the King cameo or something like that. Was there anything there or
Oh, I
anybody
don't know.
else? Okay.
Wasn't he in the band though that was playing at the dance?
Oh,
Well,
probably.
Ooh,
I
well,
think he
I don't
was.
know.
at the dance, it was a
No, he couldn't
DJ
be.
that was dressed up like Doc from. It was a Back to the
Oh,
Future themed party, because they had the DeLorean with the flames on it on the curtains behind him, and he was. I assumed he was supposed to be Doc,
Oh,
which
okay.
helps with some of the timeline stuff.
I didn't get that Easter egg. Okay.
I'm actually
Um,
with you on this, Brian. I'm with you.
um, let's see. Yeah, that like somebody said that scene with the dancing, it just came at first. It just seems kind of nonsensical. I'm like, why are they throwing this in here? But then after a while, like it drew me in, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I like this. Um, yeah, I thought the cast was great. I thought that Mia Sarah, I didn't know what happened to her. I haven't seen her in years in anything.
She
And
actually she had retired acting. So her last thing was 2013, I think. And after she saw Flanagan did a show, and I can't remember the name of it, but she told him, "I would do one of your movies. If you want me to come and do a movie, I will do a movie with you." And so he brought her out of retirement just for this role, and she's absolutely fantastic in this role. Just
yeah,
precious.
yeah.
How you don't get Matthew Broderick to do the grandpa, I don't know.
That would have been great. Um, but yeah, that's it. I really liked it. I like the reverse chronological order thing. They keep you guessing for a little while, but then they tie it all together and you understand, figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's a cool storytelling device that is used, and it's the same in the book as well. So Flanagan took the same thing that Stephen King did in the book, and I think that whole, I think that Song of Myself thing from Whitman and having this universe in your head was, for me, I think that's what Stephen King was looking at. Like, I'm going to write about this and then put all these other layers on it. Like that was, feels to me like that was his first thing, and that's why when some people are watching the movie, they're a little disjointed because they're like, what's going on here? But that's kind of the allure to this. If you like it, that's the allure to it. If you don't like it, I get it. You bring up the stuff about the math. I felt that went on like way too long because I mean, Matt will tell you, I'm not the math teacher who's like math is the best thing in the world. He is. I am not. But it fits into the theme I talked about influences. You know, his grandmother's influence on him is clearly all the dancing, and it's a force in his young life, and even it comes back out in his adult life. And his grandfather tells him how important math and accounting are, and now you get Chuck, right? You understand Chuck because of those influences, and the side characters become different characters in his universe, right? Like I think those influences and how they play out throughout his life are kind of important. So thanks, Dan. Let's go to Matt Smith. Since how I brought you up, the math is beautiful thing. I mean, do you want to comment on that or just talk about the movie or
Yeah,
what do you think, man?
we'll just talk about the movie. I did want to mention the guy Mac who was like the roadie for the
Hmm.
drummer. He's actually the composer for the movie. So
Really?
yeah, he's part
Oh,
of
there you go.
The Newton brothers, which is funny because his name has no Newton in it anywhere. But John
He's a
Andrew Grush and Taylor Newton Stewart are the composers.
he's a dream squasher. That guy's like, hey, enough talking, guys. We gotta go. I gotta pay the meter. I don't care how much you make. I want my 10%. Let's get the fuck out of here.
He is
That
also
kind of
the
guy.
composer on Doctor Sleep. That's how I found him.
Ah,
But anyway, sorry. Yeah, so this movie so before I hit play on Prime, I rented it on Prime. Uh the trailer played So I saw the trailer and I'm like, okay. And then I see all these masterpiece and this and that. And I'm like, okay, this must be pretty good. It was fine. Um, I feel like, and this maybe just tells you more about me than anything. I felt like the premise of Act 3, the first act we see, where California's falling into the ocean and weird things are happening in the earth, that was a more interesting premise to me than the rest of the movie.
Hmm.
Like I felt bamboozled by the rest of the movie. Like now, I'm not an idiot. Like I know the movie's called Life of Chuck, so I know he has to come into play somewhere. And I actually didn't hate the way they did it. Like the backwards thing, it wouldn't have worked forwards. I think Tim, you mentioned that. Like there's no way it worked the other way around. I think it was an interesting way to do that. It like lost, somebody said it lost momentum. Maybe Ryan said that. It like lost momentum for me because it started off so like interesting and strong, and then it was just kind of like, oh, it's just about this dude who's dying. Great. We've never seen this before. And then to Tim's point, the Stephen King part of it, the room that shows you the future, also could have been a very interesting part, but it played little to no,
Mhm.
it was like a 30-second thing. So like my brain, because of just where I was at, I was like, hey, this is really cool. Mordo is talking to Polka Dot Man while Nebula is married to Mordo, but then Luke Skywalker, he's gonna come pull his lightsaber out. And
It's hard not to enjoy that. Yeah.
while Loki, yeah, so it just that's where my brain started going. So I think I lost interest at some point. That being said, I don't think it ended terrible. I think um I get it. This is like a thinker, right? Like you kind of got to think about what's going on and the connections, and it did a really nice job of, connecting everything back and almost making me want to watch that first part again and just be like, okay, what did I miss in terms of his connection? Um, one of the Chucks, the teenage Chuck, was the kid from The Room. Do you guys see that? I just thought that was interesting. He's
Is
grown
that our
up
third
now.
Chuck?
It
The
must
one
have been
that's
the teenager Chuck,
the one that
right?
goes into the room? The
Yeah.
cupola?
Yeah. The cupola, the cupola. Um, what else did I have?
It
Um,
let's back up for just a second
yeah.
there. The kid who does all the dancing, the middle school kid, that's Mike
hmm
Flanagan's son. Cody Flanagan. That's his first role. He fucking nails it for a first role as
Yes,
an
he did.
actor. He does a pretty good job.
Nepotism.
Hell yeah.
Bullshit.
I thought
And it's pretty good in this instant.
no, that's not right. You're wrong.
He-
His son's the 7-year-old Chuck. The dancer is Benjamin Pajak or whatever.
Oh shit.
I
I
was
am
like, I don't
wrong.
think that's right.
I am wrong. Well, that kid Pajak did a great job.
He did a great job. And
Let me tell
apparently
you though,
he's
Cody Flanagan playing with the train set
oh,
and telling his mom that
genius.
Alyssa sounds like rain, I was
Genius.
breathtaking. I should stop talking. Carry on.
Um, yeah, no, it was fine. I'm not sad I watched it or anything. I was looking for awards, but it technically came out this year, so it wouldn't be up for anything until January, right? That's how they do that. So it won some international stuff, which was makes sense. But it'll be interesting to see come Oscar time if it gets any love, because I have to believe it's going to get lost in the noise of a bunch of other stuff that it's not gonna. And Tom Hiddleston, I think I read, and somebody can correct me, maybe he was only in it for like 15 minutes or
19
something.
minutes.
Yeah,
19
19
minutes.
minutes. Like, I don't know. I hate when they do stuff like that. Like they bill it as a Tom Hiddleston movie and then
Yeah.
he's in it for 19 minutes of the 111-minute runtime. Yes, I know that because I counted every minute.
He's also
Jared
the
Gillen and
only
the guy with the tough name were only the first act for the most part too, and you thought they were the main characters. That's
Yeah,
this
true.
movie kind of
that's
goes
what
all over like that.
that's a
Yeah.
good point. That's what
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
true. It's
But
true.
Hiddleston is the only one that's in all three acts.
Yeah,
So
right.
there's that.
So no, it was fine. It was I'm like I said, I'm not sad I watched it. I'm not upset about it. It wasn't a terrible movie. It was a good movie. I just think it was misrepresented by the way it was presented initially. So, and I like what you did, Tim. Don't look up anything
Mhm.
because if I would have looked anything up, I would have kind of known, and that probably would have actually ruined the experience, even though I would have known it was coming. It probably would have
Right.
ruined that initial experience of going from Act 3 to Act 2 and all that. So, um, yeah, so that's all I pretty much have. Um, yeah, good
Now,
pick.
Matt, so you guys, I walk into the math office quite often, and during Matt's planning period, and he's in there talking to another teacher, and I have heard him talk to this other teacher, Alyssa, quite a few times. I hear them talking about Dancing of the Stars a lot, and Matt has a lot
It's
of
not,
insight
it's not true.
as to how people dance. Matt, would you say that Hiddleston did a better job with his dance scene, or the kid projected a better job with his dance scene? With your
Um,
expertise in this matter.
I think given their situation, I think the kid did a better job because he is awkward and growing and probably wasn't easy to do that. Hiddleston's a trained actor and I'm sure he's been
Mm.
on Broadway and all that stuff. So I feel like it
Pretty
probably
good
wasn't
though.
that tough for him. He did a great job, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but the
Yeah.
kid is more impressive to me. How about that? Can I say it like that?
Yeah,
The kid is
absolutely.
way more impressive.
Would you agree that both of them just suck at the moonwalk?
Yeah,
It was
what is
terrible.
what
It
is
was
going on?
terrible. I don't
Yeah.
know what was
And
just
was
awful.
so
So many other good dance moves. They were
the
terrible at
dance
that.
the dance teacher reminded me of
The dance monster.
yeah, the dance monster.
How great
Who
is she?
is and I'm gonna be pissed because somebody's gonna say her name. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Family Guy and uh
Oh, Mad TV.
Oh,
yeah, Mad
oh.
TV. What's her
Um,
name?
I thought
That's
she
what it
reminds me
reminds.
of
No,
like a
it's
who it
not.
Janine
was.
It's
That's
not
Garofalo,
who it
who
but
it
it's
was.
not.
was. Yeah, it's not who it was. But it just
Right.
reminded me of like
She
if she
does.
was tall and skinny, she would look exactly like it's like she's got the same
Yeah.
face. I'll have to look it up. It's fine. But
Okay, so you mentioned that character at the dance. She shows up in a suit.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually started thinking that this was another false memory thing, and this person was actually a dude, and
Ah.
he screwed it up in the storytelling because back then, you know, when I'm assuming this was, the '80s when he was young, females weren't showing up in suits. So
Right.
I kind of
Sure, they were
But maybe he got a
Dan Keaton
vibe.
started it all.
female gym teachers.
Maybe he got a vibe from her, and just that's
what are
how
you?
he.
Are you
Who are
Oh
into
man.
the arrhythmics? I don't
We
know.
we here at the BTB Club have no opinion whatsoever on female gym teachers,
PE teachers, please.
PE teachers. Sorry, who's Jim?
volleyball coach?
Uh, all right, thank you, Matt. I will let you off the hook with that. Well, let's go to Mike Wilden and just get a fresh take. What is your thought on the movie The Life of Chuck?
I So I guess nitpicking stuff out of the way first. I am with a couple of you guys. I think you could have done this entire movie and told this entire story without the pergola seeing his future thing at the end, and it would have been the exact same, if not just a tad better. Because like the supernatural part of this is all within his mind until that. It's just like that. There didn't need to be a supernatural aspect to this. You know what I mean? That's the part. Any of the universe stuff and like that third slash the first act. Um, that's all in his mind. So it like that kind of gives you the excuse for it to be out of the ordinary. And um, so I didn't think that the supernatural see your future thing was necessary. And again, like a couple of you said, it didn't really play into the story that much. So that part threw me off, and I really didn't like that. And I thought it would have been better. Like when he first opened the door and there was just nothing up there, and the view was as good as he thought it was. When he was a kid, it's like I bet you could see the whole town, and like he can see the whole town and everything. I was like, oh, so like whatever. Maybe his grandpa took care of it. All the stuff got taken out, or maybe it was just something in his grandpa's head, whatever it was. I would have preferred that so much more than just that random one supernatural aspect of it. I didn't think that fit at all. I am personally mad at this movie for making me dislike Mark Hamill for a brief moment, like when he's telling the kid, like, "Hey, don't chase your dreams." I'm like, "No, don't say that, Mark Hamill. That's terrible." And I love Mark Hamill, but and he did a good job in this. And obviously, overall, I think the grandpa, of course, does love his grandson. It's just a different, you know. But yeah, so that's just a little thing. Um, as far as my experience with this movie, that out of the way, I did really like this. I think like I was kind of more where Melo was at first, where I was like, I want to like this more, but I'm not sure. But the more I process it, the more I think about it, the more I hear you guys talk about it, the more I sit with it. I'm liking it more and more, and it makes me want to go back and watch it again. And speaking of which, so I rented this on YouTube as I do often with with these, and I watched the first act at home before I came up here for the weekend for work, and then I had to go to bed. So then last night I logged on to my YouTube up here, but it doesn't have a like, oh, this is where you were last, keep watching. So I watched it from the beginning again. And then as I was watching it, I got through the third act, the first part again, but then something distracted me. I don't remember what it was, but I had to go back and do it again. And I could have just fast forwarded through it, but I was just like, I don't, whatever. I don't know if I was tired, just didn't want to bother looking forward or whatever. But I watched that very, very dark and depressing the universe's ending scene 3 times.
Hmm.
I don't know why I did that to myself, but
Well, you probably caught a pretty good amount of the callbacks then later on if you watched that first part 3 times because there's quite a few of them.
yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Like I liked the way that they kind of explained all of it. Matt, I think you're right. I don't think you can tell this story in chronological order because it just kind of like I don't know. I just don't think the story really works that way. And like I was thinking about it like, oh, this had to be told like in reverse order. I it wasn't just like a style choice. Like that's how this had to go. Um I'm here for the dance scenes, man. Both of them were great, but like especially like in the second act, which that was pretty much the entire second act, but that whole thing with the drummer and everything, here for it all day. I could watch another 10 minutes of something like that. I absolutely loved it. Um
Actually, if any of us would stop and start dancing in the middle of the street, I could see you being the one to do that. And I mean
yeah,
that as a
maybe.
compliment. Yeah.
I thank you. I wish I could dance like that, honestly. Like the older I get, the more I'm like, man, I wish I would have like learned more dance stuff and um so but yeah, I enjoyed the way the story is told. Matt, I was not upset with the bamboozlement, which is and you were bamboozled. You don't need to just feel like it. You were indeed bamboozled. That was the point. And but I was glad because that first act is depressing.
Hmm.
And very final, like, okay, this is the entire universe is, just breathing its last breath, and it's like there's a certain, acceptance to it, and they talk about that in that first act too. But then, it's scary, and they even say, "Yeah, I'm scared." It's like, wow, that's just thinking about it. You're going through all the emotions that they're going through. Okay, thank God, it's just in the guy's head. So, Brian, you might enjoy this. As I watched it the second time, and I was kind of thinking about like, okay, who's this Chuck guy? Before we learn who Chuck actually is, and we learn that this is all in his head. I kind of got that, except I thought it was more of like a Molecule Man thing because I knew this is Stephen King, so I figured there would be a supernatural thing. So that like I figured that Chuck was like some being whose life is connected to the fate of the universe. So it would be like, like a Marvel, omni-powerful thing, like a molecule man type thing. And I was half, I'll say a third right, but I just, it makes more sense to do it the way they told it. Yeah, love the cast. Um, I mean, how can you go wrong with a lot of the people in this? But yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm starting to kind of go in circles. I thought Tim when he does the math monologue, I immediately was like, "This is Tim is going to say this is Dentino,"
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
and yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of processing the movie, so I'll stop there. But I enjoyed it. Great pick, Tim.
Thanks.
I could see Hilty having picked this too, but it's Stephen King, so you know, odds have to go with you. Anyway,
Yeah, Dentino, by the way, also would stop in the middle of the street and start dancing. Um, Now you said like why do you need the cupola scene? So
Pergola. He called it a
yeah,
pergola.
yeah, it's all right.
did I
They're
say
all
pergola?
words. A little
Gondola,
bit. Yeah,
You
right?
did, and I made
gondola,
a note
Gondola.
that I was going to talk
I thought I
about.
said
chandelier, the
cupola.
chandelier rule.
Did
I
I
was
say
going to talk
pergola? I
about.
meant cupola.
Yeah, it worked out well. It worked out well. So anyway, you said why do you need it?
Oh,
Like you don't need it. And so I kind of agree. Like when I watched it, I think it's the weakest part of the story. However, if you think what the story's about, um, if you know you're gonna die, but you don't know when you're gonna die, doesn't that change how you live your life? You
I
know?
don't think it did. That's the thing, is he is an accountant. Like he works with a bank.
Hmm.
He did the thing, okay, yeah, there's the magic and the numbers, but that whole scene with Mark Hamill telling him, you can tell that he's like, hey, like, I don't want to do this boring math thing. I want to go and dance and do I want to do something
Hmm.
with my life. And he follows the advice and becomes an accountant. So I disagree. I don't think that that's exact. Like I see what you're saying as far as that being the theme, because that was kind of what I was thinking. Oh, maybe it's because yeah, no, I don't like he appreciates his life, I think, for sure, but I still think you can do all of that without that supernatural cupola, pergola, gondola
Right.
scene.
I called it O and
And
I.
because he's an accountant, like
Yeah.
he could just, yeah, I don't, I still don't think it was necessary.
However, after his grandfather gives him that lecture, he does go join the twirlers and spinners or whatever it's called anyway, and he does have the dance scene with the girl at the middle school, and then he does have the day where he stops on the street and
Well,
dances.
but like he's reluctant to dance with the girl right after he has that talk with him though. Like
Yeah,
he has that talk with him and he's defeated, and it's like it's the dance teacher that kind of finally talks him into it.
yeah.
And
No,
so like
agreed.
I don't think that I still don't think that the cupola thing really has to be there at all.
Well, I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm just saying why I think it works. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying why I think it works.
We're having
Uh,
a discussion. It's fine.
one of the one of the things, like I don't know if you guys did, but a couple times I watched this movie. I didn't shed a tear, but it emotionally got me a couple of times. It punched me in the gut when I didn't see it coming. And one of them is the end of the second act when he says later on he won't remember his wife's name. He doesn't know if he's awake or asleep, and all he knows is pain. And he thinks, why did God even make the world? But then after he can't even remember his wife's name or how to eat, he does still remember the day that he danced. And he says that's why God made the world right there. And so his passion still comes through. And I think knowing that he's going to die, sort of, he still gets his moments along the way because he knows it. But I have more to say about that. We need to hear from Aaron first before we get
Yep.
to the bottom of this.
Tim,
So,
Tim, that
yeah,
scene was not necessary. I'm just kidding.
where's that mute button? Aaron, your thoughts on the life of Chuck?
All right. So just kind of working in reverse order, just I didn't make any notes on the movie, but I have made notes about what people said and I wanted to talk about. So just working backwards from Mike. Mike, you said you wanted to learn to dance. You know you're gonna die someday. Like he's looking at well, no.
Go learn to dance.
Like you
Yeah.
can still learn to dance. Compared to me, you're still young. Take some dancing lessons. Like you're like, oh, he
I
didn't
that
act
that
on it.
actually like that actually is something I didn't want to make that whole thing about like just my own personal interest, but since you're saying it, that is something I like am intending to look into, and like I have like looked at stuff on YouTube and have kind of tried to learn some stuff like in the last year or so for that reason. So yeah,
Well,
no,
good.
thank you
Do
for
it.
saying that. I appreciate that. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But and I hadn't even thought of this because I thought of this. To me, I had the same kind of point of view that you were taking. Like, oh, he saw himself dying in the future, and he still became an accountant. And like, what magnificent thing did he do with his life because he saw himself?
Mm,
We all know we're gonna die. We don't. And as a 17-year-old, he didn't know how old that person was in the bed.
right.
Probably looked like a pretty old person. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna die when I'm old. You know, but we all know that, and we can all like take dancing lessons or learn a language or whatever, take a risk.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know that we were supposed to, or he was supposed to get some kind of magical, supernatural kick out of making his life something better than anyone else's just because he knew he was going to die, because we're all going to die. So uh
Yeah, Tim. I'm sorry.
What?
no, no, no. I'm not
I'll,
agreeing
I'm,
with you,
I'll,
Mike. um I wanted to throw in hoodwinked. I never felt hoodwinked, even though that wasn't the word that Matt used. Um, I did see trailers of this, and I do remember seeing the trailers. Seems like a year ago. It was a long time ago. I never saw the movie. Never paid too much attention because I thought it was going to be like an emotional, not necessarily where the uh, guy ages backwards and, anything supernatural, supernatural, or um, I don't know. I guess I thought it was going to be more heart wrenching, like a tearjerker just for the sake of being a tearjerker.
Mm.
Everybody contains multitudes. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this is just going to be all the horrible crap that's happened to this man, and he, persevered. And I was like, I was never interested in it. And then when it came up that we needed to watch it, wasn't looking forward to it. Put it on. Really liked the first act, which was the third act. Same thing. Matthew Lillard. My kids love him. So anything he's in, they grew up on, like, he was Shaggy in the Scooby Doo live action movies, right? Plus
Yep.
lately he's been in. I don't know if there's been two or if the second one's coming out. The Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. They played that game and saw the movie several times. They love, and from the Scream movie, the first one. So I thought it was really cool seeing him, and I thought he did a great job. I thought the cast was phenomenal. I really liked the three. Count the 7-year-old, I guess, kid. All the different versions of Hiddleston. I think they all. I believe they were all him. It looked like that could have been a younger version and a teenage version. That wasn't like off-putting. Like sometimes it's like, how did this kid become this guy? Um, I did notice just going through what Tim said, I think I don't know what the book was. I don't know if it was a Stephen King book, but when he goes into the grocery store and asks the cashier of where, his grandma passed, there is a book rack, and there's a book that I remember reading the cover to, and but I don't know why I remembered it. I don't know if it was a Stephen King book sitting there, but it was placed perfectly.
Is it? What do you remember the title if I say it?
Probably.
Was it like The Haunting of the House on the Hill or whatever
I
that?
don't think so. Mm-mm.
Okay, because that one does
Um,
come up, but I think it's in a different bookstore.
okay. So to me, when we get through the first act, which is the third act, and I did look up, is the short story written chronological? Did they do this for the movie? And nope, it's written the same way. And thinking about it, because it's come up a couple times, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, couldn't they just do this in order? And I don't think they could, because you need to meet some of these people. Actually, I don't know how you would do it um, in a book with these. I don't know if they're completely callbacks. I'd call them misremembrances, because you're not really calling back to the same character, calling back to a situation that helps you maneuver through the plot or anything, which is going to bring me to what I think this whole thing's about. for me. Um, but I really thought it was weird and interesting. And then Act Two starts, and we get to the Nick Offerman voiceover, and I trust it. And he tells us, this is 8 months or 9 months or whatever. It's just before he gets diagnosed, or maybe before he dies. I'm not sure which way he says it, but I'm trusting everything Nick is saying. And then the dancing starts, and about 2 minutes in, this is, to me, if I made a note, it would have been, this is where they lost me.
Mm.
I went on too long. I wasn't interested in the dance. I get it. He dances, and even with the girl, being involved, you know, it was fine. I actually left the room to go to the bathroom during it, and I came back and it was still going. So I don't feel I really missed anything. Um, so I was like, oh, well, here we go. It's, not what I wanted or what I thought it was going to be. Um, but then it, loops right back around pretty much when he comes back to the spot where the drummer was. And then, then we go into the last act. And I mean, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the entire story. It made it all made sense. So to me, it's all about, and, teachers, anybody, um, it has to do with, I think Tim said it, core memories, and how we have no idea when core memories are going to get burnt in. Most of them are when you're smaller, younger, in school, stuff like that. Teachers have no idea. People in young people's lives have no idea when they're going to, be burnt into some other person's core memory just because of the age they're at, the situation they're in, what's going on, whether you're part of it or not. You might just be in the peripheral. But when this sometimes traumatic, sometimes, awesome thing happens, you were there, and, you're burnt into those, synapse firings forever. And with Uncle, who I didn't understand, well, I mean, I knew what was going on when he, was going through dimensions, stuff like that. And, kind of the family was talking about, Uncle Ross is, all he really talks about is selling shoes, which was like one of his first jobs, but that's where he was. Those were the memories that kept coming up, at the end of his life. And I think that's what's going on here. It's not a misremembering, or, who was what and who did what. It was these people were around when key things happened, so they were around at the end. Um, the other thing is, we all contain multitudes. Two different things with that. Like, I don't know who said it, but basically, if like 200 people have met you, there's 200 different versions of you out there,
Right.
because nobody remembers you the way the next person does, and none of them think of you the way that you think of yourself, or that you think they think of you. It's all very metaphysical stuff. Um, but to him, and I think it was Brian who said it, like, when the lights were going out and to him, the universe was ending. It was, it didn't matter who else is out there. It doesn't matter what's really going on in the world. The universe, according to him, died. The lights went out. It was gone. Um, and all those memories are gone with him. Other things, somebody had said, I think it was Tim, 66 pages, and he drew it out to a full length movie. He drew it out with one dance sequence, with Tom Hiddleston. Without that, it didn't, have to be a movie. Core memories. Oh, I thought the moonwalk keeps coming up. There was one crisp, really good moonwalk, and it's obviously a stunt dancer that they zoom in on just the legs. It's supposed to be the kid, but there was one good one. So for you guys saying that they all sucked, I don't think they all sucked. Um, Now for the timeline, the grandma was singing to a rock song that was too young for her to like, and well, I think it was like Dexy's Midnight Runner or something.
Dance All Night Long was the song. I don't know who does it.
Yeah,
Wang
that's not even
Chung.
the song I thought it was.
Was that Wang Chung? Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like it came out in 1984, so it was like 84, 85. He was 10 years old, which makes him like exact, my age.
Mm.
Um, and then it goes to um, so basically, if he was 10 in 84, 85, that means he died in 2009, 2010. Which one plot hole that I was like, oh, I got him. They didn't do their research. There was no Pornhub in 2009. There was. It started in 2007. So it's a legitimate conversation they could have been having.
Somebody hit this guy with a shut up nerd. Somebody hit him.
No.
Where's Hilty when we need him?
But I was waiting for like a timeline,
Yeah.
hiccup like that. But I mean, it all kind of made sense. I think their phones were maybe a little too modern. Um, but their reliance on the internet. But I did like, without nitpicking all that stuff, I did like how you do find that like the network is going down and, things are spotty and, it's because there's problems with the connections in the brain. And, I didn't go in wanting to watch it. I really liked that first act. Thought they were going to lose me in the second, but I really thought they brought it home. Um, I never got like emotional at all, which I
Mm.
thought going into it, I thought it was going to be an overly emotional movie, and you know, I really liked it. So that's all I
Okay.
got to say about that.
Thank you for all of that. Let me give you my I'm gonna try and sum this up without spiraling all over the place. In the
Or
first
you,
place, yeah. What's that?
I kind of piggybacking off what he was saying with all that. I really liked one of the callbacks, if you will, that stood out to me a lot was when the utility guy is just telling, kind of giving. I was thinking of Malo when he was just like, because it's a lot of exposition. When he's like, man, like this
Yes.
thing happened in California and
Yes.
this, and it can't believe, like he's saying a lot of what has already happened. And it's like that guy was kind of, I guess, his, not regret, but just kind of probably his mind's own frustration. But you learn a lot about what happened to his body through just that monologue and comparing it to the universe. Like, man, for a year, 14 months, it's like that. It all kind of like, oh, this makes a lot more sense when it's,
There's
and
no
so I,
food. There's yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Well, and like the core memory thing, I forgot to put. So you say he walks by that teacher and sees that teacher, but he sees the teacher right before he just looks at the flyer for dancing, which becomes
Yep.
a big part of so like core memory, he was there locked in. The pipe, the funeral director doesn't smoke a pipe. His grandpa does, but he gets the bag of effects from his grandpa, so he's thinking about the funeral and sees the pipe, or we see the pipe, so that's why I think the funeral director has a pipe in the first third scene. Just stuff like that, how those core memories get locked in, but not
Mhm.
necessarily to who they're supposed to be or what they were doing at the time. But a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So I don't know a lot about philosophy, but I know that I studied it a little bit in college, and the word that we're looking for is existentialism. Um, and that is a certain branch of philosophy, and it's kind of the if the tree falls down in the woods and I'm not there, it never happened. It's that what happens in your world, it comes from your experiences. And Aaron's talking a lot about core memories will have a bigger part of the universe that you build in between your ears, and things that didn't have as big of an impact will just kind of be there somewhere, and it may get misconstrued just out of time and memory or lack of importance, or as Brian points out, maybe his brain's going to mush and some of it's off just because of that. So I like that even though there is a lot of exposition at the first part, you don't really get to know the full reason for why some of this is off. You just find out that it's off and you're left with good luck to you figuring it out. When I'm done with this, one last time to go around, I will ask you guys a question, and it is, what is your dance thing? So the fact that he dances has nothing to do with dancing being important. It is that this was an important thing to him, and he went through his life doing the thing that was important to him. So if you know that, sooner or later I'm going to go before it's my time, what do I need to get? What do I need to do to get in? What's the little thing in life that I really like that I want to make sure I get in enough as often as I can? For him, it's dancing, and that's why that's such a big thing in this movie, in my opinion, anyway. So I'd like to go, while you guys are thinking about that, I'd like to go back to Act Three and talk about what I'm calling callbacks, things that we see that come back to us later in the movie. One is the song "Give Me Some Lovin'." It's there early when he's Marty's driving his car, and then it's the song right when he's later on at the middle school dance and he sees the student shooting star go by and he goes into dance. And then at the end of the third act, when the stars are disappearing, that's the song that slows down. Um, the phrase "that sucks," the world's going down the drain, and all we can do is say is "that sucks." That comes up in the third act when they're talking about the world coming to an end. But in the second act, that comes up when they're walking across the bridge after they've danced and he's walking her back to her hotel. He's talking about her getting, the guy breaking up with her. So that one spans those two eras there. Um, let's see. When Marty's on the phone with Felicia in one of the very first scenes, he's in the hallway with the wallpaper going up to the door to the cupola. That one comes back to us. The Carl Sagan thing, I mean, that one's a little more obvious. Marty explains it over the phone to Felicia, but then also it's on the TV. Brian brought this up. It's on the TV in the background when he's talking to his grandfather. The dancing scene that Marty is watching on TV is from a movie called Cover Girl, and then his grandmother shows it to him, so that's why it's showing up on his TV. Um, the Gus scene is one of the I think best scenes in here. I watched it too, Mike Wilden. I watched it also and thought of Ryan Melo. Like Melo's gonna hate this. He's just explaining everything in one dialogue thing. However, one thing Gus says, and I don't know if you guys caught it, toward the end, he's talking about this is the end of the world, and he says the waiting is the hardest part. And that's the line that Mark Hamill gives him later. Um, Buskers Forever is spray painted on the hospital wall as Felicia is walking in. Um, the beeps on the Suicide Squad, of course, come back. I mean, that one's more obvious. The funeral home director showing back up, that one's more obvious. And then that line, 39 great years, thanks, Chuck, is on every billboard, but then his wife actually says it to him at the end. That one got me a little bit. I didn't cry, but it got me a little bit. Um, let's see. The finger point from Grandma. Um, since I've watched this movie quite a few times, a good song has come on, and I start doing this in the air. Like that's part of my life now, apparently. Emotionally, when I saw that it was Mia Sarah and that she was the grandma, and then she turned and did the dance with me thing because he did that to the other girl, and I realized that's where that came from. That's the one that got me the most. Because grandmas are fucking awesome, and he had such a good, as Aaron puts it, core memory, a loving memory of that with his grandmother, that's why he did that in the first place. And for them to set us on a hook with that and to find out afterwards was just awesome. Dan doesn't want to hear about dancing anymore. Um, then the line, "Come on, sister, let's dance." He says it, and then of course his grandmother says it. And I did notice on second or third watch of this movie, I've seen it a few times now. Some of the dance moves that he does in the kitchen with his grandmother are the ones that he does out while he's busking. A couple other notes that I have after all of that is, and these are just kind of random, but Bubby and the bread. Knowing that your wife's gonna die in a store with bread has got to be the worst thing that you could possibly ever live with. And then he says it's the waiting, Chucko. So there's that coming around. But then he's drunk off his ass telling secrets, and she sends him to the grocery store in the dark. Like, what is that? The walk's gonna sober you up? I don't know, man. I've been drunk at night. I never think to myself, let me go out in public and go to the grocery store and see if I sober up. Um, that got me thinking a little bit. So there are reviews of this movie that are good, and there are reviews of this movie that are bad. And it seems to be the people who don't enjoy this movie get hung up on some of the things that some of you guys got hung up on. the plot, the storytelling, the pace, the exposition, and the monologues seem disjointed. It doesn't seem like a complete, good, put together movie. The people who like it don't talk about any of that. They talk about how the influences of other people and how you should live your life, where it's the small things that come up, and what you should take away from this is it's the good things in life. And that's what they write their reviews about. So it's really what you take away from it, or the first thing that affects you, I think, is how this movie gets you. So with that in mind, unless anybody has some reactions to some of that, let me ask you.
I do have
Go
something
ahead,
I wanted to say.
Brian.
I was going to bring this up and I forgot. The actress who played Chuck's mom is Molly Quinn, who played Castle's daughter on the TV show Castle, Nathan Fillion's daughter, who loved that show. But she's also one of the executive producers.
Oh.
And I thought that was interesting because, you know, and I blame Malo on this one. I started watching credits a little more.
Yeah.
And in the opening credits, I saw her name and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, if that's who it is. And then she was in the movie playing the mom. It's like she didn't actually get listed in the credits as an actress, but she played this part.
Mm.
So
There's a couple things like that. What's her name? That is Marty's wife, and she's in Guardians of the Galaxy. What's that actress's name? Or
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan. She and the girl that Tom Hiddleston dances with were in a movie for Mike Flanagan before, where they played the same character, where one's younger and one's older. So, like, there's a lot of this going on with this movie of people he's worked with before and actors and actresses who have worked together before. It's almost like a Tarantino kind of thing going on there. So, let me ask you guys. In order, I picked Malo first. Malo, what's your dancing thing? What's the little thing in life?
So I guess I needed a little clarification. Sorry, is it something that has happened that I would equate to that, or something that is still maybe unfinished business, or should the moment arise, you know, that would be a thing.
I think it's the little thing in life that you enjoy, that if you know you're going out in 2 years, you want to get as much of it as you can.
Well, all right, that's different. So when I first thought about, like, there's something that I haven't done in a while that I really enjoyed and always liked, and it's climbing. I like rock climbing a lot. And I haven't done it as much, and I've actually shifted. You know, you only get so much time. Golf has lately has been a lot. But the way you just phrased that, it would be family. It would be the girls for sure.
Yeah.
Especially now, this year's been weird, just for what it's worth. Both girls are at college, and that's you know, really strange. So
but I mean, for the way that I'm phrasing this question, though, that's not a little thing in life, because that's a big thing in life.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Like, he's still an accountant because he knows that's what he's supposed to do. But the dancing thing is what he just wants to get in as much as he can when he's not doing what he's supposed to do. I guess that's the way I mean it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, for the sake of this exercise, the first thing that popped in my head was climbing, which is interesting.
But I also get that some of the best little things in life are you hanging out with your daughters too, though, because I know how that works. Brian, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the same as the answer's kids, you know, never miss a moment with them and try and have as many as I can. But, you know, she doesn't listen to this podcast, so fuck that. Mine is always will be, it'll be softball. Being on the field playing softball is just those are the moments, you know. And somebody's asked me about that. It's like, why do you take it so serious? It's like, when I'm on the field, I know I'm right. It's, you know, everything else, other times in life, I'm not sure about this or that. It's like, on that field, I knew I was right with what I was doing. So softball would be the answer.
I like that. Good answer. Dan, this has got to be about watching the Red Wings.
Oh, this is definitely fantasy football is my life. That's That's what I live for,
Yeah.
and I'll do that my whole life as much as I can.
We've spent some vacation time, and I know that if there's a game on, that Dan will go out of his way to stop dinner early to get to the TV to figure out how can I watch this. It's a
Well,
passion for Dan.
he's trying to
Uh,
figure out how to get around Roland to watch
that's not the always the easiest thing. Depending on how much
Yeah,
alcohol's been involved, that's not always
it's a
the easiest thing.
challenge. Yep.
Matt, what's the little thing in life that well, you get the theme.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my kids, just like
Hmm.
Ryan and Brian said. But if it's not my kids, if it's choice, Z versus A, um, I it sounds funny. I love playing games, love tabletop games, card games, whatever. And I just, as you get older, you just don't get enough time to do that. So I think that would be my thing. Just try to get all the things on my shelf on the table and actually enjoy them instead of them collecting dust.
Yeah, I like that. You're didn't you run a D&D club with the kids at one point?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Mike Wilden, your thing.
Writing.
Writing. Absolutely. And oh,
I was thinking about that, and like the first thing that popped in my head was that, but also stand-up comedy. But I think you know as well as anybody that I have kind of a love-hate thing with the actual experience of stand-up comedy, because like
yeah.
I love the idea of it. However, when I did put that into practice a decade ago, and when you and I went to that one, a year or two ago, whenever that was, I hated three-quarters of the experience.
Yes, a lot of disdain, I remember. A lot
And
of
I just
disdain.
was
Yes.
like, I don't know if that's necessarily something I want to, spend more of my time on. If I enjoy, it depends on how much I enjoy that 5 minutes I'm on stage and how much that's worth it to me. And the reason I don't do it now is because I don't think that the ratio of enjoyment to annoyance was necessarily in my favor. So
Hmm.
I kind of I really wanted to answer stand-up comedy on this, but I don't think I can reasonably. So it's got to be wrong.
I think that's fair. Aaron Lashbrook, what's your thing?
I'll definitely be playing hockey as long as I can.
Oh yeah.
We've got 50, 60, 70-year-old leagues and tournaments around here, so I'm going to do that as long as I can and, not really care about how bad my knees get or, how not good I am at it anymore, or not that I was ever great at it. But then I got kids too, and but for me, I would in the summer it'd be fishing and bringing my dad along as much as I could with that. So that'd be like the thing if I can grab him and drag him out. He's still here, and so um, skating in the winter and fishing in the summer.
That's
Trying
great.
to get my dad to come with me.
I don't think I'll surprise anybody with this, but for me it's playing the piano. But I don't know if you guys know how. I feel bad when Nikki's in the house and I'm just playing the piano. Like she has to listen to it, And when she's gone and I can sit down at the piano and just sort of make shit up and have the time to play something that's bad but fix it and go over it and repeat it and, write music and stuff, it's not something she wants to hear. And if I'm at the piano in the living room here, she has to hear it. So I try to go out of my way to not annoy my wife by playing the piano. But when I get the opportunity to do it, there's something that's absolutely freeing about it that allows you to just kind of forget where you are and get into it and lose yourself in it. And I think that's what Brian's talking about when he says this is where I feel right. And Aaron talking about fishing with his dad. I think that's just a beautiful thing in life that's touched on in this movie is it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in life. The little thing that makes you happy inside on whatever level it is pretty important. And that's what I take out of this movie that means a lot to me. So thank you guys for watching this and giving me your honest opinions. I figured we would get some likes and some dislikes, and I think we kind of got that. Like there are different levels all over here. So I definitely appreciate you guys watching it and being honest. And I hope that I hope that Melo, who didn't like it, paid to buy it instead of renting it. Speaking of you, Melo, it's your pick. So give us your thoughts on your next pick. What are we watching?
Okay, so first of all, I did rent it, so and I did not like it. I just wanted to like it more, and I probably would on a second watching. Um, awesome timing with the car. Sorry. Okay, so um, I was between two movies. So I was pretty set on Moneyball being the movie. I'm pretty
Ooh.
sure everybody's seen it but me
Ooh.
up until last night. And then Jam and I ended up watching it.
Don't you
And so
tease
that's
us with
not,
Moneyball and then not pick
sorry, man.
Moneyball.
He's
Yeah,
not
that's
picking
not,
it. He just saw it.
not
Oh.
100%. That's not the pick.
Dan, you're up
This,
next, by the way.
yeah, this other movie that I hadn't thought that much about. There's a podcast I listened to, and they did an interview with this guy, and then he was in this movie. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, David Dastmalchian, the Pornhub gentleman who also was in
Oh.
Suicide Squad, which that exact phrase, came up in this. I thought that was interesting. There's a movie called Late Night with the Devil that is on Disney. Uh, Again, I heard an interview about this movie, so I don't really know exactly. It could be terrible. Like there is
I love
100%
this.
that is within
I
the
love
realm of
this.
possibilities here. But it sounded very interesting to me. It's basically he's the host of a talk show, and some weird, funky, supernatural stuff happens. That's really all I know. And it sounded interesting to me, so that's what we're doing.
Late Night with the Devil. All right, guys.
So before we wrap up,
Yep.
and I didn't want to jump in on Malo, but I thought, so do you guys want to know about the moonwalk dance stuff?
I was gonna do that after, but let's let everybody hear it.
I thought you were doing oh yeah, no.
You want to do that story now? Let's do that story now because this is perfect for this movie because we were pretty young for this. And so Brian's version and my version may be very different about this. Let's see what you got, Brian.
At my grandparents' 50th anniversary party, where Tim and I were rather young, obviously not obviously, it was at a banquet facility that they had a DJ and there was music playing, and Tim's moonwalking across the whole fucking dance floor, just Michael Jackson it up for everyone to see.
I was.
My brother, my older brother, he was trying to do it and kind of was picking it up. And I looked like a monkey humping a football trying to figure out how to do a moonwalk. And he didn't like circle me on the dance floor, but almost. So the moonwalk dance thing was a little bit of a slap in the face.
Okay, so my version's pretty similar.
I was just gonna say, is the memory different between the two of you?
That's what we were talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this is the core memory thing. Pretty similar. So I was dancing a little bit, and here's the thing: is the kid says in this movie, I watched it, I rewound it, I watched it, I rewound it, and I literally did the same thing. And we in my grade school were trying to outdance each other. I mean, this is the breakdancing movement, and we were all just trying to at school dances be a better dancer than the other person. So I had figured that I had done it, and there was a moment where we kind of all went off to the side, and I was showing people how to do it. I remember it being your sister, Brian. I just remember a moment with your sister where she was trying to do what I was doing, and she was doing it wrong. She wasn't moving her foot backward flat. She was moving her foot backward with her heel in the air. And I remember saying, "No, that's wrong." And I got her pretty good because she was like, "I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't try this." And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Your foot has to be flat." So I yelled at your sister a little bit, and she was at least twice as tall as me and could have beat the living piss out of me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't remember that part.
but yes, there was some dancing at his grandparents' 50th anniversary. I'm glad that that's recorded.
Did you remember it was what the event was?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't remember anything else about that event other than dancing. Like
Me either.
I'm sure there was other things that happened, but that's all I remember out of it.
It
And
was.
it's
I do
perfect
remember
for this movie.
at a place called Park Place in
Okay.
Dearborn. I remember that. But yeah.
Oh, there we go. There is our Life of
Yeah.
Chuck. I contain multitudes moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be enough for this week. We'll see you next week where we talk about Late Night with the Devil. Have a good one.
That'll do it for this episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you as always for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Have yourself a great week. We are partnered with the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.